Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamunatira Vanachare. Yamunatira Vanachare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare. Gopi Jana Balava Giribaradhare. Gopi Jana Balava Giribaradhare. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamunatira Vanachare. Yamunatira Vanachare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare. Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. Jai Vishnupad Paramahangsa Parivrajacharya Status to see Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. ISKCON's founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki. Sri Sri Radha Radhanath Ki. Sri Giri Govardhan Ki. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu Ki. Sankirtan Yagya Ki. Gopremanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, you'll make a mridanga player. Just Keep practicing. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 2. Daksha curses Lord Shiva, text 19. Nishidyamana sa sadasya mukhyar daksho giritraya visrijya shapam tasmad vinishkramya vivrida manyor jagama koravya nijam niketanam nishidyamana sa sadasya mukhyar daksho giritraya visrijya shapam tasmad vinishkramya vivridamanyor jagamako ravya nijam niketanam nishidyamana sa sadasya mukhyaya daksho giritraya visrijya shapam tasmad vinishkramya vivridamanyor jagamako ravya nijam niketanam nishidyamana sa sadasya mukhyaya daksho giritraya visrijya shapam tasmad vinishkramya vivridamanyor jagamako ravya nijam niketanam sadasya mukhyaya Nishidyamana, being requested not to. Sa, he, Daksha. Sadasya Mukyai, by the members of the sacrifice. Daksha, Daksha, Giritraya, to Shiva, Visrijya, giving, Shapam, a curse, Tasmat, from that place, Vinishkramya, going out, Vivridamanyo, being exceedingly angry, Jagama, went, Kauravya, O Vidura, Nijam, to his own, Niketanam, home. Translation. Maitreya continued, my dear Vidura, in spite of the requests of all the members of the sacrificial assembly, Daksha, in great anger, cursed Lord Shiva, and then left the assembly and went back to his home. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Anger is so detrimental that even a great personality like Daksha, out of anger, left the arena where Brahma was presiding, and all the great sages and pious and saintly persons were assembled. All of them requested him not to leave, but, infuriated, he left, thinking that the auspicious place was not fit for him. Puffed up by his exalted position, he thought that no one was greater than he in argument. It appears that all the members of the assembly, including Lord Brahma, requested him not to be angry and leave their company. But in spite of all these requests, he left. That is the effect of cruel anger. In Bhagavad Gita, therefore, it is advised that one who desires to make tangible advancement in spiritual consciousness must avoid three things: lust, anger, and the mode of passion. Actually, we can see that lust, anger, and passion make a man crazy, even though he be as great as Daksha. The very name Daksha suggests that he was expert in all material activities, but still, because of his aversion towards such a saintly personality as Shiva, he was attacked by these three enemies: anger, lust, and passion. Lord Caitanya, therefore, advised that one be very careful not to offend Vaishnavas. He compared offenses toward a Vaishnav to a mad elephant. As a mad elephant can do anything horrible, so when a person offends a Vaishnav, he can perform any abominable action. Nishidyamana sasadasya mukyar daksho giritraya visrijya shapam tasmad vinishkramya vivrida manyur jagama koravya nijam niketanam. Maitreya continued, my dear Vidura, in spite of the requests of all the members of the sacrificial assembly, Daksha, in great anger, cursed Lord Shiva, and then left the assembly and went back to his home. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Niravishesha Shunyavadi Pastyachadesha Tarane Sri Krishna Chaitanya Pramanityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchikalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhyaeva Paditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Yes, so we see the state that Daksha is in. It's extreme anger, and because it's so extreme, his whole personality and his everything becomes just, you could say, distorted and just really placed in a very horrible condition. So Srila Prabhupada begins the purport, and most of the purport, well, the purport basically is just explaining how extremely detrimental anger is. That it can make a person crazy. They just lose control and they lose their sanity. And when a person loses their sanity, they do just, well, what crazy, stupid, destructive things. And ultimately, it all comes back on them. It all comes back on them. So this anger is such a detrimental, such a dangerous thing for devotees. Prabhupada mentions lust, anger, and the mode of passion. Perhaps when I was reading this, I was reading and I thought, I came to this, lust, anger, and greed, I thought, because that's kind of, you tend to run into that. But lust, anger, and the mode of passion, well, greed is part of the mode of passion. Greed means, well, in the classic sense, greed means insatiable desire. You can just get as much as one could get of whatever one wants, but it's not enough. And as I've mentioned many things, that in my life there are different things which have struck me, and they've stuck with me, even, 50 years later or more, 60 years later. But one thing that really struck me, and it stuck with me, is when I was a child or teens, I saw an interview of J. Paul Getty, who at the time was the richest person in the world, Getty. And so it was like an hour-long program about his life and what he did and everything. And part of it was an interview, and in the interview he was asked, Mr. Getty, do you have any, what was it? Not goal, something like goal in life or aspiration. What's your desire in life? And he said, yes, my aspiration, desire in life can be summed up in one word: more. That's it. That's greed. But here Prabhupada is broadening it to the mode of passion. Of course, lust is, in a sense, the most essential part of the mode of passion. But the mode of passion is multifaceted. There are many different elements which make up the picture of what is lust, and different, what is the mode of passion? Different expressions, manifestations of passion in different ways, like lust and greed. And then anger, of course, comes when lust or greed is not satisfied. Then anger comes, but anger is more generally associated with the mode of ignorance. As when your passion, your mode of passion is not satisfied, then you go down into ignorance, a more like morose condition that I failed to enjoy. And, therefore I'm unhappy about it. Whereas lust, there's a type of enthusiasm in lust that I'm going to get it, I'm going for it, and that sort of thing. But then after a person has made their best effort in lust to enjoy and get enjoyable things and enjoy the enjoyable things and all that, when the person has done that, but then they can't do it any further, they just can't do it any further, then anger comes, frustration, and this is all more part of the mode of ignorance, although, they're connected, there are definitely relationships. So anger for the devotees, Prabhupada at the end of the purport is emphasizing that, particularly for the devotees, but for everyone, but particularly for the devotees, we have to be very careful not to offend other Vaishnavas. This is what Daksha's doing. And of course, he's in a very extreme state of that offensive mentality. He's just so extreme. Yesterday, was it yesterday? We just mentioned, we read that verse, Swayambhuva Manu, preaching to Dhruva Maharaj, stop being so angry with the yakshas. Yeah, stop being so angry, because what had happened was that one of the yakshas had killed Dhruva Maharaj's brother, just one of them. And of course, if some close relative is killed by someone, then obviously practically anyone will become angry, disturbed, and like that. And it happened to Dhruva Maharaj. But he got so much carried away. He was in the process of annihilating the yaksha species. Yeah. And Swayambhuva Manu came and preached to him specifically on that point. We read the verse. Beware of anger, because anger makes a person a source of dread for others. And that's, very inauspicious. When you are the type of person who, when people see you, they think, oh no, I'm getting out of here. That means you're a very inauspicious person. you've got some very undesirable characteristics. Means you're in a bad state. Yeah. So, like in Caitanya Charitamrita Antya Leela, there's the story of Ramachandra Puri, a disciple of Madhavendra Puri, godbrother of Ishvara Puri, who was Lord Chaitanya's spiritual master. And that Ramachandra Puri, he was a sannyasi. He was a very senior person. He was an elderly person and very experienced. And so he should have been the type of person that in Vaishnav society, the devotees would be so happy to have around to consult with and discuss matters with and get some guidance from, that sort of thing. But he became such a person that, not exactly angry, although it's like a relative of anger, but just highly critical. And he had some imagined idea that his being critical of the other devotees and expressing it very openly was good, was positive. But he ended up in such a state with so much not appreciated and feared, in a very negative sense, feared by the whole devotee community, that when he left Jagannath Puri, they had a festival. And it wasn't, a farewell festival. Go well into your new phase of life in Krishna consciousness. And it was like, gosh, we're so glad you've gone. Wow. Because your association was just so horrible. You don't want to become that sort of person. So, because it means that you've become horrible. And you've developed really detrimental qualities which just undermine your Krishna consciousness and your whole life. So Daksha, though, at least Dhruva Maharaj, when Swayambhuva Manu preached to him, at least Dhruva Maharaj stopped his angry activity. But here we have not just Swayambhuva Manu. It's possible that Swayambhuva Manu, anyway, I don't know if he was present or not, but some Manu or other was probably present. But here is Lord Brahma. He is higher than the Manus. And he, as Prabhupada says here, it appears that all the members of the assembly, including Lord Brahma, requested him not to be angry and to not leave their company. But despite that, he left. And he didn't just leave, he left in a mood that you people, it's not worth associating with you. I'm getting away from you. So this is just a bizarre state of consciousness. Lord Brahma, who was personally instructed by the Supreme Lord and is Sampradaya Acharya and is just Lord Brahma, basically the greatest personality in the universe, other than perhaps Lord Shiva. Of course, Vishnu's there, but he won't listen even to people like that. It's very important for us as we're trying to practice and develop our Krishna consciousness to develop the capacity to listen, to hear. After all, Prahlad Maharaj, when he lists out the 9 devotional activities, and there's only those 9 devotional activities. If there appears to be a 10th or an 11th, it's a subdivision of one of the 9. So Prahlad Maharaj, when he lists them out in the 7th canto, then he begins with Shravanam. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, Smaranam Padasevanam, Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyam Atmanavedanam. They're all extremely important. Actually, for us, they're all vital. Not just important, but they begin with hearing. And if you don't hear, how are you going to chant? You can only chant what you've heard. You can't chant something else. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam. And you can only remember something you've heard. Reading is included as part of hearing. Yeah. So you can only Smaranam, that's the 3rd process. You can only remember what you've heard. If you haven't heard about something, anything, then you can't chant about it, you can't remember it. And, Smaranam Padasevanam, you can't serve it. Archanam, you can't worship it. Vandanam, you can't offer prayers to that or about that unless you've heard. So therefore, even though sometimes some emphasis is put sometimes on chanting, but still this point is there, and you'll find Shastra, Prabhupada do present this point that actually the first step is to hear. And so if you can't hear, and particularly if you can't hear Lord Brahma, then you're off the scale, basically. You're out. You're out of Krishna consciousness. And, well, your future is extremely bleak. So this capacity to hear really needs to be cultivated. We need to do some research into hearing. If you've got Prabhupada's books on computer or even just on telephone, you can do research into anything. And it's very enriching spiritually. So Daksha has lost his ability to hear because of anger. He's lost his ability to hear. So of course you have to be careful who you hear from, but the eagerness to hear, enthusiasm to hear about Krishna, if we can develop that, if we have it, then we can understand that we have got a great gift here. We're extremely fortunate. In the first canto, this is discussed, very famous and one of my favorite parts. This is 1, 2, 16. Shushrusho Shradhadanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Syan Mahatsevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanat. O twice-born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing. the messages of Vasudeva. If you serve the devotees, particularly the very advanced devotees, Mahat Sevaya, by serving those devotees, then one finds that, an affinity, an attraction. I like hearing, I want to hear, can I hear more? Arises in the heart. This, of course, is very important and a slightly subtle aspect of Krishna consciousness. But the point is, first point is, hearing is just the foundation of anyone's Krishna consciousness. And therefore the question arises, all right, how to develop that attraction? And this is what's being said here by Shukadev. Is it Shukadev anyway? Maybe it's Sutta actually. Yes. And how is it that if you serve the devotees, particularly the great devotees, in our cases, particularly Srila Prabhupada, his mission, how could it be that if we serve like that we just find, an attraction is coming, I'm attracted to hearing, whereas previously Srimad Bhagavatam class may have been a sort of a signal, time to take rest. Anyway, how is it that an affinity arises? It's because Krishna within the heart gives it. When he sees you're doing this, the most very wonderful thing, serving his devotees, particularly his very dear devotees, then Krishna's pleased and he gives you the best. So this is important. This is really vital. And the fact that Daksha has gone overboard completely and just lost his intelligence is such a crucial point here, and we have to learn from it and learn not to be angry with the devotees. If some devotee ever criticizes you, which, don't worry, it will happen. You will get the opportunity to practice what to do when you get criticized. Then one way of responding is or can be, if the devotee is saying you're like this, you're like that, you can always say that actually, Prabhu, I'm much worse than that. You're saying I'm like this and like that. You don't know how bad I am. Oh, Krishna. Which may well be true, actually. If we talk about, the thoughts which sometimes haunt us in the backs of our minds. Yeah. So, and we mentioned yesterday, and it's really such an important point, the connection between lust and anger. Anyway, the whole thing, we can discuss it more tomorrow because this whole subject is it's the subject for the next some number of verses. But, of course, in Bhagavad Gita, in the second chapter, and who can tell me what are the verses about lust and anger? Chapter 2, verses 62 and 63. Jayato vishayam pumsa sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kama kamat krodo bhajayate. While contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them, and from such attachment lust develops, and from lust anger arises. It's not, as many materialistic people think, from lust happiness arises, because I enjoy whatever it is, whatever I'm attracted to. If I get it and I enjoy it, then no, lust arises, anger arises from lust. From anger, complete delusion arises, and from delusion, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost, and when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool. And this is basically the situation here with Daksha. He's on the edge. Well, we don't even know what happens to him in his next life. I don't know, at least. But he gets angry with great devotees at different times. Later, he'll get angry with Narada Muni twice, and curse him too. Yeah. So, anyway, we must not offend devotees, but we must always appreciate and glorify the devotees, and in this way avoid offense. Hare Krishna. Any comment or question? Comment. Yes.
Yeah, the scriptures speak repeatedly about the benefits of serving the devotees. And it made me feel that it's spoken so repeatedly.
Right.
That if it was something that was attractive to us, it wouldn't need to be spoken repeatedly.
It's possible.
So what holds us back from that attraction to serve the Vaishnavas? Or what's that nature in us?
I would say it's aham mameti, I, me, and mine. Because let's face it, we are prone to have ourselves in the center of our lives, even as devotees. And we have to learn and practice, putting Krishna, the spiritual master, in the center of our lives, and being prepared to, or practice being prepared, but just practice doing things which put them in the center of our lives and put ourselves and, what's in it for me and what problems could arise for me if I do it, or, these types of ideas. Practice putting them out of our heads, I would say. Sadhana bhakti means you have to practice. Of course, through chanting and just continuing in devotional service, the heart becomes cleansed, but still we have to practice doing the right things and avoid doing the wrong things. So we actually, the GBC, the whole GBC body one time, I was a member of our team building committee, would you believe? And we made a team building exercise for the whole GBC body during the GBC meetings in Mayapur one time. And the name of the thing, the exercise, was Agyata Saka. Agyata, unknown, Saka, friend. Each one of us was given a name of another GBC member, and you have to be the unknown friend of that other GBC member. And you have to do things for them without them knowing that it's you. So we did. And I forget who I was. Anyway, I did it. And he didn't find out who I was until the end. And I think Hridai Caitanya Prabhu was my unknown friend. And one day a pizza arrived from nowhere. And would you believe, wow, a 50 € note arrived. Well, I thought, this is a good program. But, you know, sometimes when we have retreats like about humility or, you know, these types of things, we tell the devotees that you must glorify, you must go to at least one devotee today and express some real appreciation. It's a form of practice. Yeah. So definitely we should practice doing it, appreciating the reality of what the devotees are, rather than being absorbed in our own little world. And therefore, you know, George Harrison, who we've been reading about, one of his songs in his sort of Krishna conscious period was I, me, mine. Yeah. Suggestion. Any other comment or question? From you intelligent devotees. Okay. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.